Oh, yeah. I just popped open the American Voice Radio chat room. Got to say hello to a couple of my friends over there. And hello, Annie. Glad to have you there. And Clint. And who else do we have in over there? We got Annie. We got Clint. We got Nunya. And 008. Glad to have all that. Clint's up there. And let me see. Did he say Idaho? I think he did anyway. We'll double check that. But right now on a newsmaker line, straight from the Tea Party Tribune, we have Mr. Wilbur Witt, that fabulous author, and political commentator. So come on in here, Wilbur.
Well, Doc, you got a special treat today because Ted's got a new pacemaker, and you now have the founders of the butcher shop both on the air at the same time. Say hi, Ted.
Hello, Doc. How are you?
Hey, Ted, you sound good. Ted is our classical liberal. In fact, he's having a little bit of trouble even being a liberal these days because most of the liberals have become neo-Nazis or neo-communists now. And so I don't know where that's going to lead you, Ted.
Well, there aren't very many liberals left, so
we have been having the most interesting conversation, Doc, for about 2 hours waiting on you to come on the air. I did an article this morning called A Better Universe, something like that, and I systematically analyzed and showed why we were consolidating down to the Peckerwood Press and the distribution list, and Ted come on, he called me when he read it, and it boils down to a cross-the-aisle thing about freedom of speech. Ted, give me your thoughts.
Well, the internet is speech nowadays. There is probably as much speech on the internet as there is just between individuals and people in person. Maybe more when you count the text and whatnot. And the algorithms that they're pushing are arbitrary, and there's no argument to be had with them. So we're looking, Billy and I, in our business, are looking at a real threat to our ability to be content producers due to the fact that we have people making arbitrary decisions about whether or not we can use words like Peckerwood.
Hey, time-honored Texas word, I might add.
Absolutely.
And it refers to what? It refers to woodpeckers choosing a tree. That becomes a peckerwood. It has some other connotations.
Well, you know, Doc, when I started doing this thing, when we started consolidation, one of the things I did was routinely I got the links to the Peckerwood Press on Facebook, and I shared the link. Now, when you share a link, you always go in there and you check the link, make sure you did it right and everything. They had disabled the link to the very site, Peckerwood Press. They had actually disabled the link. To get it, in the article today, I showed the 3-step process you have to do to see it. And the good news is the Peckerwood Press is growing by leaps and bounds. Ted and I invented that thing in Ocasio Wells in 2011. Okay? And it just languished for all these years. So about 4 months ago, and it just popped up. Y'all saw it.
Yeah. Well, and occasionally I've posted on there, and of course you post on there fairly regular. But I thought, I don't know, man, people have lost their sense of humor. And if you guys would indulge me for a second, I wanted to get Darlene in here. She's got some news, so let's get Darlene in here with the news, and then we'll finish this up. Hey, Darlene.
All right.
Hi, Doc. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, Darlene. Appreciate you calling in. You said you had some exciting news. What do you got?
I have some excellent news. Okay, I've been working on the trucker stuff, right?
Yep. Talk quiet. We got lots of compression. So.
Yeah, the truckers and the patriots are merging together.
Well, now.
And yes. And a page has been created on Facebook called We the People, We the Americans, and it's going to be a combination of patriots and truckers putting out info on the page.
Wow.
On a variety of topics that are going on in our country today within the industries that are going to be affected by artificial intelligence. And then, of course, Patriot News.
Well, all of my truck driving friends out there, I see Robert in the chat room out there, and so all of my truck driving buddies out there, this is great news. But most truck drivers are patriots. At least that's been my experience, Darlene.
Right. But see, a lot of them are out on the road. We will be their source of information as them being our source of information.
Well, this is good.
We want to all come together. It's about unifying us all together.
Well, can you put a link to that on the Doc Green page?
I sure can, Doc. And another thing, a couple of the drivers would like to come on your show.
Well, let's do it.
Hey, Doc.
All right. Well, send me the information that I need to get to them, and I will put you guys in contact.
All right, I will do that. Hold on, I think Wilbur's got a question.
Yeah, Darlene?
Yes.
We have a truck driver on the line right now, Dr. Ted Klepper.
That's true. I drove a truck for 20 years.
A truck driver with a PhD, no less.
Right.
Well, there are more than one of those out there.
I know there are.
I'd also like to say this, and that is that, Darlene, and that is that yesterday's news about what they did up in Virginia, outing all those trucks off into a stadium and doing all those level 1 inspections, that's one good reason to get truck drivers together in a group so that they can have a voice other than the ATA, which is nothing more than a mouthpiece for the big trucking corporation.
Were you able to hear that, Darlene?
I didn't hear what he said.
He said they pulled a lot of truckers over.
I couldn't make it out.
He said they pulled a lot of truck drivers over yesterday and ran them all off into a stadium so they could do level 1 inspections on these trucks. And that cost them a huge amount of money and lost time and hours.
Everybody's still asleep.
Well, I wish that were not true, but I know it is. Well, thank you, Darlene, for sharing that.
I realize that almost all the jobs will be affected by this artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody will be able to work. Some of your white-collar jobs are going to be going AI.
It's sad but true. Darlene is telling the truth there. Well, Darlene, thank you for calling in on that. I appreciate it, and I want to get back to Ted and Wilbur and their thoughts on this.
We have some thoughts on it.
Oh, give us your thoughts, Ted. I changed the direction of the conversation, but you're an expert on this.
Well, what Darlene is talking about is one aspect of a much larger problem. And the problem is that when you go back about 15 years, there's an organization called the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, whose job it was to interpret the rules that were made by the Department of Transportation. And what happened is that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration took over the rulemaking process. And so now, when you get your physical done, it is not done by a doctor. It is done by a chiropractor who is certified by the FMCSA. And the FMCSA goes in there and arbitrarily pulls on certification for your health that a regular doctor would not impose on you. They would look at the DOT rule and say this doesn't really match what the DOT says. So in doing this, they had to have an organization that represented truck drivers that agreed with them. And so they essentially took a group called the American Trucking Association, the American Truck Drivers Association, the ATDA, and turned it into a mouthpiece for the large multi-million and multi-billion-dollar trucking industries that are worldwide. And the American driver is absolutely unprotected. We're out there in the wind. And something that Americans don't know, and I may just do a series of articles on the trip about this, is the fragility of our food chain. Doc, it wouldn't take but a little hiccup, and you could be starving down there in Houston.
Well, of course, that's what Darlene's been alluding to is without the trucking industry, we got a problem. Now, if they go to artificial, they want to go to all these self-driving trucks, Ted. I don't think it's a good idea. I've got a lot of reasons why I don't like the idea. And
that's correct. And well, we already have the problem in the warehouses down there in Houston in the ports.
Yeah.
If you go down to the ports, there are a number of port facilities that use robots instead of humans. And everything is, I mean, they may have 2 or 3 humans in the building, and that building is handling hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of freight a day with 3 humans in there. So, yeah, it's a big problem.
Ted, there's something else you told me a long time ago. You talk about the border crisis. We have a border crisis right now. Mexican truckers just sail over the border, and American truckers don't sail back with equal enthusiasm.
no.
With equal. You're right. Mexican truck drivers have to have the same credentials that American truck drivers do. It's just that the credentialing is done in Mexico, and I don't want to offend anybody in Mexico or from Mexico, but the fact of the matter is that the level of corruption is a great deal higher there. And a guy comes up here. We've caught this happening 3 times now in this country. They'll have fatality accidents. They're deported back to Mexico. They change their name in Mexico, get a new CDL in Mexico, get a new clearance in Mexico, and they're back driving a truck in America. So, yeah.
Hardly seems right.
Oh, no, it's not right.
It's not right at all. It's not right at all. Now, on the other subject, too, what we started out on, the butcher shop is gaining ground by leaps and bounds, and that is why when they come up, they just banned C.J. Grisham from Twitter because somebody, Antifa, I think, said they were going to rape his daughter and burn his house down.
Yeah.
And he responded in kind, and so they got him and ignored Antifa, all right?
That's the way it works.
That's the way it works, but sometimes they'll write you a little letter and say, we made a mistake and we didn't mean to do this, didn't mean, like when you tried to share my article and everything, and they say, you can give your response to this. And my response is going to be, look, we had a publication company, and it's not the biggest in the world, but it's sizable now, and we have had a little board meeting here, and we have concluded from the numbers that you are totally useless to us. There's nothing good coming. You don't help us. You're useless. As a business model, as a business, you should sit back and examine that a publishing company just told you, I don't need you. You are useless. But like I told you the other day, you remember I told you all the ads that Jackie sold?
Yep.
Thousands of ads. Thousands of ads that girl sold. But they hate conservatives so bad, they won't even take our money.
They will turn down our money. Yes. Just in order to keep us out of the deal, because they want to turn this into a one world government under a benevolent, I use that term loosely, tongue in cheek, benevolent dictator, and they want to have no morals, none at all. They want to promote homosexuality.
Exactly. Ted, when Doc went over to the drag queen story time, he walks in, taking films. He had his press pass given to him by Donald J. Trump hanging around his neck, okay? And he was maligned until he had a coronary and had to go to the emergency room. And the Houston Chronicle only said a monster came in, threatening the children, scaring the children in the library. I mean, come on now.
That's what they said. Go ahead, Ted.
I'm sorry, Doc. In our publishing group, I wrote the first article about that. I actually was writing that article in real time while this was happening here. And I went to the American Library Association, and I discovered that the American Library Association has a whole raft of social issues that they're working through the local libraries in this country, and it's frightening. It is, and the fact that they didn't do any more research on this Mala Satanya, the person that finally wound up getting arrested, for being in that library with those children, and turns out, has been arrested
for Tatiana Malanina turns out to be a guy, and
the rape of an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah,
right.
Actually, he had raped 4 boys between the ages of 4 and 8.
Well, I was digging in on this, and the second I ran across that, it turned into a much larger issue to me, because the American Library Association is funded by tax dollars.
Yeah.
And so, that's illegal. What they're doing violates a number of federal laws by itself.
It does.
Doc, I tell you what, if you think that all liberals don't listen to you, while you were on the way to the hospital, Ted was on the article. While you were on, he was on the article, right? Mad authority.
Well, I got to tell you guys, we're losing society. We are on the knife edge, and we're losing the conservative media. I mean, it's guys. I mean, and Ted being a liberal, but you're a classical liberal. You see, Ted and I may not agree on everything, but Ted would never try to silence my voice just because he doesn't agree with me. He would debate me instead, and that's the way classical liberalism used to be. But today, there are almost no liberals left. They're all communist leftists.
Ted told me something today. He told me something today that, was it Nancy Pelosi said? Ted said, if you don't believe in abortion rights, you are not a Democrat. He said,
that was Kirsten Gillibrand.
All right, this woman just said, because I don't want to see a baby's head pulled off during birth, I can't be a Democrat.
That's right. And Kirsten Gillibrand just ruled out anybody in the Democratic Party. Said the Democratic Party has no room for anybody who doesn't believe in abortion.
No, it's very sad.
It is.
But I've always said that killing babies is a tenet of the faith if you're going to be a Democrat.
And that's what she's saying.
She's not supposed to be there to define my political view. She's there to represent her constituency in government, not to find my political views in a broad way like that. And it really makes me mad, and it really shows me that she's not a liberal at all.
No, she's not a liberal. She has become a leftist. She may have been a liberal at one point, but she has become a leftist. So, Ted, when are we going to be able to register you as a Republican? Because I can assure you that we represent you better than the Democrats do.
When you have a barbecue and serve up Mitch McConnell, I'll come sign up.
Hey, that could be arranged, but he's a tough old bird, Mitch Chinese Money McConnell.
Bird's not the word I would choose, but you're right about that.
Yeah, no, I got no use for Mitch McConnell. I'm a Republican, but I got no use for Mitch McConnell unless it would be to stoke my firewood. So,
people. In my article, I think it was yesterday, I mentioned Tea Party, and I made mention that people think, well, Tea Party is just Republican light. No! The original Tea Party was everybody that didn't agree with what was going on. Okay? Yeah. That was what it was. Ted is more Tea Party than anything. I'm Tea Party. And we've had something I pointed out in another one. I said, look, I pointed out today, when we went to work, or I went to work alone at the Tea Party Tribune, okay, it was full of mothballs. The articles were boring. We started slowly pushing the envelope, trying to get new blood in there, young kids. I did an article the other day explaining all these new writers that come up now, and everything. We went from not being able to say "gosh darn" to putting up an article about a monkey making love to a frog. And Senator Mike Lee approved it. So we had pushed the envelope out there to the FedEx level, but it's attracting the young people. Say, wait a minute, these guys are cool. They're not really old fuddy guddies. Maybe we need to listen to what they got to say. So.
Well, let's moderate coolness with common sense at the same time. This is why me and a lot of my friends are going out to the apartment complexes and holding parties, just trying to share the gospel of what the GOP is about, and at the same time helping them to recognize we're not a bunch of old sticks in the mud. We like to have a good time just like anybody else, but we'd like to have a good, safe time if we can. Anyway, Wilbur Witt and Theodore, thank you guys for joining us on the Doc Green Show. You guys need to go by the Tea Party Tribune every day. Just add that to your browser to automatically open. Wilbur's got something pretty impressive up there most every day. And you can buy Wilbur Witt's books on Amazon, and I'd strongly recommend you get your copy of Cigar Box today. And if you like religion and stories about religion, Sharon would be a good book for you. So on that note, we're going to hit this break, and we'll be right back.